Hello, welcome. Warcraft 3 patch 1.36 is now live, so a new update brings balance to the game, ranked changes, observer mode, and tournaments, as well as a few collection portraits to go with those tournaments. So the balance changes consist of nerfing the Night Elf, buffing the human a little bit, changing Troll Hunter down a touch, changing the items to be a little bit weaker in general, so they have less impact, I would say. Say Circlet of Nobility is now increased from level 2 to 3 because it's powerful. They actually put a Ring of Superiority into the table, which is +1 to all stats, and then a Ring of the Arch Magic, which is +3 to all stats, so a mini Crown of Kings in a way. And they just straight up removed Lightning Shield because otherwise humans were getting too decimated. For ranked, at the end, we'll go into that in a moment. I'll show off the Observer mode because I'm currently in a game with 2 computers. So we have an Observer mode, which looks like this. So you got computer over here and computer over here. As you can see, this has to be toggled on. As a default, this is off. You can find it in your options and I'll show that afterwards. But if you wish to use this, which you probably would want to, then yeah, it's very interesting to see. For those that haven't seen anything like this before, it's going to be quite unusual, but you can see the heroes, the units for the races, the structures that are being produced, the technology, so research, Moonwell, and then obviously an upgrade to damage and fiends. So that's always cool to look at, and then the overall glimpse as to what the army size is for each player, regardless of where they are on the map. And yes, you can just click on the hero icon here and it will follow. You got the player color, so that's blue over here. He's player number 1, blue, undead, computer normal, and then you can see their resources. Their APM is 0 because they're computers, so I guess they're able to do this without doing anything. Just they're way ahead of us, to be honest, and they always will be. Humanity is doomed, but that's another topic for another day. You got the health, you got the mana, you got the level of the hero. It shows level 2, but it doesn't show like the progress as to how far it's through level 2. So we click on the Warden, she just straight up level 1, but if she kills one more mob, she probably gets level 2. You can see their stats, their status, so any bash effects or storm bolts, it would show up there, and their inventory. But this can also be seen over here. So for the 3 heroes that a player can have, and yeah, it's pretty neat to look at, I would say, overall. If you want to toggle the sound on and off, though, it will also play with some of the panels. So there's Control S and M removes those 2, and there's probably other commands as well too. And Alt P for production, and Alt U, which of course is very easy to click on. But yeah, no, that's an improvement. I like it. It's a good start. I'm sure there's ways to improve this though. Back to Warcraft, we're no best on that. So that's cool to look at. And the scoreboard is reflected a little differently here. But you got this like red and then this blue and then this blue and this red. It's just still kind of confusing. So what else have we got? We had the ranked. So basically they've set it to 10 maps now and you can veto 3 of them. Not anything's changed too much with ranked, but the sad thing is we still don't have Market Square. But wait, we do. Okay, it's no longer sad. I thought they removed it. So you got 10 maps for each 1v1, 2v2, 4v4, 3v4. We don't count 3v3 because no one plays it. In before someone gets upset. The leaderboard still isn't really fixed. Hard to know what is really going on with this, but funny Warcraft 3 is ranked 2 at the moment, with 10 wins and 2 losses in 4v4, so he's doing quite well. I think 1v1 is always a bit more reliable, but then again, having said that, I don't know, people would have played more games than this, so yeah, I think the leaderboard and all that's not really working properly. If you want to go to your options and in gameplay, you can advanced observer mode. So that's to show you what I was showing before the observer mode. So you may as well have that turned on, unless you really hate it. And then of course we've got tournaments here. That's coming up over here. There's been bug fixes. I don't know how many of them are particularly significant, But players have been complaining about frame rate drops, and I certainly had it when my game defaulted to Reforged, and I just tested the 4v4 RT a moment ago. Yes, we got observer mode, you got slight change to ranked, tournaments, and various other improvements. But the tournaments is a new one. For those of you that aren't familiar with tournaments, there's details on how it works. This is obviously quite clear and clean, so that's pretty damn nice. You've got the preliminary round and then elimination round, and of course being crowned as a champion. And if you weren't too sure, there's even more rules. Back in the day, you used to go on the website to see this. So I still have memories of doing that. But yeah, you can get bonus wins if you win. So those wins go towards a portrait. And I'll show those portraits in a moment. But you can see that the next tournament to start is May the 11th at 5 PM, which is a bit more reasonable, because otherwise this is saying in 5 hours. We got one today, but for me 5 hours time, that's like 9 to 10 PM in the evening. And if you're in Europe, it would be an extra hour or two depending on where you are. So it's going to be pretty late. And yeah, the other issue with that is when you're playing a tournament, you play a game, you beat your opponent, for example, but you have to wait for the other people to finish their games before you can play against them. And then there's like an hour or so to wait and all that kind of business, which is why I never really did tournaments too much anyway back in the day, because too much waiting around. And last but not least, I believe, is the collection, where we can see our portraits. And you might see some new ones in a moment. There's the classic Felguard, the classic Infernal, the classic Doomguard, the classic Pit Lord, classic Archimond, and then the Felguard with the reforged Infernal, Doomguard, Pit Lord, and Archimond as such. So these are the newer, touched up classic looks. So they're not straight up ports of the classic, but like with these, they stay very true to the similarity of the originals, which I really, really appreciate how cool these look. And I think they've pulled it off again, because these all look good to me. I would say my favourite is probably the Pit Lord. I just think he really pops there. Looks amazing. Archimond looking kind of cool. And the Doomguard got a nice look to it too. And I reckon the Infernal looks really good with the colouring. But we can't see that until we've unlocked it. Oh, hey there, back to Warcraft. You don't have the portraits unlocked. I know. Well, I haven't played any tournament games. Because I have to wait around. I mean, there's a tournament. It'd be better. Yeah, you can do the tournaments. Are you going to cover any of the tournaments? It's back to Warcraft's in the chat at the moment. Awesome shoutcast. Says Neo really like carrying that hard. He does a fantastic job for Warcraft free community. So if you've never heard of Back to Warcraft, you've obviously been living in under a rock. But if that is the case, then go check them out. They've got a YouTube channel and a Twitch channel, and they're very good at covering all of this business. Neo has much better perspectives on the observer mode. He actually done a video, which I saw on his channel. So if you go to his YouTube channel and just scroll down, you'll come across it about a week ago or something like that. But he definitely did a covering of that, where he goes into much greater detail onto how to improve the observer mode. Because as you could see, you could get details of what's going on, but when you watch the Back to Warcraft streams, the overlay to show the characters' progression with experience, the items, the positions of said command cards, which you, the observer, can see, are way clearer. You just want to have a quick glimpse and see what the heroes got in their inventory. You don't really want to be darting your eyes to the bottom left and then back to the bottom right and then up, you know. But this is progress. It is always progress. So even this little bit looks kind of neat, doesn't it? Twisted Meadows 2 versus 2. Very clear start. Final call. Start 12 AM and then end 2:50 AM. Why did they start the first tournament to end at 2:50 AM? That seems like a rough start, right? Doesn't it? I don't know. Like, shouldn't they have just started off like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something? But there you go. As is the case with basically everything that is reforged, progression is slowly being made, but it's always scuffed to some degree. So it's just a case of gradually getting to the point where we can get everything put in, and then they can polish that scuff till it looks nice and shiny and new. it takes time, but it's interesting to see these things develop. So there you go. Just a quick little overview of patch 1.36. Some improvements, some changes. I think that might tick the boxes on everything that they were supposed to do when they promised to re-implement all the features. I'm not sure what there is left, you know? But, yeah. I don't know where we go from here. Time will tell.